You finish everything on your list. You show up for everyone who needs you. You handle it every single day. And at the end of that day, you're completely empty. Not tired. Empty. Like your brain ran a marathon that nobody asked you to run, that nobody even noticed you ran. And the worst part? You can't explain it. Because from the outside, everything looks fine. You're functioning. You're successful. You're the person other people come to when things fall apart. So you never said anything. Because what would you even say? I want to tell you about something I did for almost 2 years without understanding why. Every evening after work, I'd sit in my car in the parking garage for 15 minutes, not going anywhere, not on my phone, just sitting, trying to feel like a human being again before walking through the door. I thought I was tired. I thought it was the schedule. It wasn't tiredness. It was my nervous system trying to come down from 16 hours of invisible constant alert, a state that has a name, a neurological mechanism. And this is what today is about, a way out that doesn't require you to stop functioning. That's what we're doing today. I'm Dr. Marcus Cole, neuroscientist, physician, and someone who spent years being incredibly productive and incredibly exhausted without understanding the connection between those two things. This episode is personal, and the science behind it is real. Here's what we're covering. First, what high-functioning anxiety actually is, neurologically. Not pop psychology, the actual brain mechanism. Second, 5 daily habits keeping your nervous system in overdrive that most high-functioning people have never once connected to how they feel. Third, 3 techniques that recalibrate your system without slowing you down. And fourth, the daily reset protocol that builds real calm, not the performed version you've been doing for years. Before we go further, if the last 90 seconds describe something you've never heard articulated but immediately recognized, this channel was made for you. Real science, no judgment. Hit subscribe. Every episode here is worth your time. Let's get into it. Your brain has an alarm system, centered in the amygdala. Its entire job, detect threats and trigger a response before your thinking brain evaluates whether the threat is real. In an emergency, it saves your life. In high-functioning anxiety, it never turns off. It runs at 80% capacity, continuously, not firing full alarms, just humming. A constant low-grade activation, cortisol slightly elevated, heart rate baseline slightly elevated. Muscles carrying tension you've stopped noticing because it's been there so long it feels normal. And here's what makes it invisible. Your prefrontal cortex, the rational executive part, works overtime to maintain normal behavior on top of this alarm. It keeps you organized, professional, present. It keeps you functioning. But that functioning has a cost. Think of it this way. Imagine your office building has a fire alarm going off at 80% volume all day. Not enough to trigger evacuation, but loud enough that every conversation requires slightly more effort. Every task drains slightly more energy than it should. Now imagine that alarm has been running for years. That is a massive neurological tax, paid daily, invisibly, in cognitive resources you never get back. So when you feel empty at the end of a day where nothing objectively terrible happened, now you know exactly where that energy went. It was spent, every hour. Keeping the alarm from showing, that's not weakness, that's neuroscience. 5 habits keeping your system running hot. I had 4 of them. You decide which ones are yours. Habit 1, checking your phone before getting out of bed. Your amygdala processes incoming information before your prefrontal cortex is online. The day begins with cortisol stacked on cortisol. The alarm starts elevated before you've taken a shower. Habit 2, never doing nothing. Podcast on every commute. Series while doing dishes. Scroll the moment you sit down. That's not relaxation. That's distraction. Neurologically, completely different. Rest allows the nervous system to downregulate. Distraction keeps it occupied so it doesn't have to. Habit 3, solving problems that haven't happened yet. I once spent 45 minutes mentally solving a problem that never materialized. My brain gave me a gold star for the preparation. The amygdala doesn't distinguish between a real danger and a vividly imagined one. Anticipatory worry keeps the threat circuit active with no actual threat present. Habit 4, the difficulty saying no. Every yes from obligation, not choice, activates a micro-threat response. Quiet, consistent, cumulative. Habit 5, Going to sleep while your brain is still working. No clear stand-down signal. Slow-wave sleep compromised. You wake up already elevated before the day has made a single demand. How many of those are yours? Drop the number in the comments. Mine was 4. Most people with high-functioning anxiety never identify as anxious. They identify as driven, as someone who holds things together, as a high achiever who just cares a lot. And they're not wrong. Here's what's also true. For many high-functioning people, the anxiety and the performance are deeply intertwined. The hypervigilance that drains you at night is the same system that keeps you sharp in the meeting. The anticipatory worry is the same system that makes you thorough and reliable. Your anxiety has been keeping you productive. Your brain learned early that keeping the alarm on produces results. The problem is not the performance. The problem is the cost. There is a difference between performing because you're driven by something you genuinely want and performing because your nervous system is quietly terrified of what happens if you stop. One feels like momentum. The other feels like running from something you can never quite see. I know which one most high-functioning anxious people are living in, because I lived there. And here's what I need you to hear clearly. You don't have to become a different person to feel better. You don't have to slow down. You don't have to stop being who you are. What you can lose, what the protocol does, is the neurological tax. The alarm running at 80% when it should be at 20. The drive stays, the cost doesn't have to. Before the 3 techniques, I want to pause. I know who's watching this. You're someone who functions, who gets things done. And when something affects your performance or your well-being, you don't just want an explanation, you want a complete system. That's exactly what the 30-day brain reset system was built for. What I'm covering today is the foundation. But your nervous system, after years of running in overdrive, deserves more than 3 techniques and a hope. Inside the system, the complete anxiety and brain protocol, the full HPA axis regulation plan, the gut-brain axis connection that almost nobody explains, the sleep architecture protocol that determines whether your nervous system actually resets overnight. And beyond anxiety, cognitive decline prevention, ADHD and focus, brain nutrition with 47 foods ranked by direct neurotransmitter impact, 10 complete protocols, every study cited, every DOI linked, Harvard, Nature, JAMA, and Stanford. No guesswork, no false promises. The QR code is on screen right now. Link in the description, pinned in the first comment below. Your nervous system has been working overtime for a long time. It deserves a complete system, not just one episode. Now, the first technique takes 90 seconds. You can do it in a bathroom stall between meetings. Nobody needs to know. Let's go. 90 seconds. That's all this takes. Balban and colleagues, Stanford University, Cell Reports Medicine, 2023. 114 adults, randomized controlled design. Cyclic sighing outperformed box breathing and mindfulness meditation on every physiological arousal measure. Here's the technique. Inhale through your nose to about 80% capacity. Then, before you exhale, one additional short, sharp inhale through the nose. Fill the remaining 20%. Then exhale slowly, completely through your mouth, as long as you can. 5 cycles, 90 seconds. The double inhale reinflates partially collapsed alveoli, the tiny air sacs that collapse during shallow, chronic activation breathing. The long exhale activates the vagal brake, the parasympathetic branch of your vagus nerve that directly counters the sympathetic alarm. You're not calming down through willpower. You're activating a biological system that counteracts the alarm. Those are completely different things. I do this before any high-stakes situation. I did it before recording this episode. My nervous system responds every single time. And here's the open loop I want to plant right now, because technique 3 is the one that most high-functioning anxious people resist the hardest, and it's the most transformative one long-term. We'll get there. Stay with me. Technique 2, 20 minutes of moderate aerobic exercise, not intense, moderate, conversational pace, brisk walk, bike, swim. At moderate intensity, GABA rises, your brain's primary stand-down signal. Cortisol drops, BDNF rises, and amygdala sensitivity to threat signals measurably decreases for several hours afterward. Stonerock and colleagues, JAMA Psychiatry 2023, documented that consistent moderate aerobic exercise produces anxiety reduction comparable to low-dose anxiolytic medication. without the side effects, without the dependence. 20 minutes, not an hour. Not a hit session that adds more cortisol to an already elevated system. Moderate, consistent. This is the nervous system's reset button. Technique 3, 5 minutes of interoceptive exposure. Sit in silence. Observe the physical sensations in your body without trying to change them. The shoulder tension, the chest tightness, the low-grade restlessness. Don't fix it. Don't distract from it. Just observe. I told you this would be the hard one. The high-functioning anxious brain's instinct when it encounters discomfort is to immediately solve it or escape it. Sitting with it feels like failure. But what you're doing is teaching your amygdala, through repeated exposure, that these sensations are not emergencies, that uncomfortable and okay can coexist. With consistent practice, amygdala hyperreactivity measurably reduces. 5 minutes. Silent. Daily. The hardest one. The most transformative one. 3 techniques. 90 seconds, 20 minutes, 5 minutes. All 3 fit into any day you're already living. The complete protocol runs across 3 moments in your day. Here's moment 1. Morning. First 30 minutes. No phone for the first 30 minutes after waking. Your amygdala processes information before your prefrontal cortex is online in that window. Opening your phone feeds the threat detection system before you have neurological resources to contextualize what it's receiving. The alarm starts the day already elevated. Instead, 500 milliliters of water with Himalayan salt and lemon immediately. Overnight dehydration contributes to cortisol elevation. Hydration is neurological maintenance. 5 cycles of cyclic sighing before any screen, before any obligation lands. You're starting the day by activating the vagal brake, telling your nervous system before the day makes any demands that the alarm can be at 20% today. 10 minutes of natural light exposure, outside or by a large window. Sunlight activates the suprachiasmatic nucleus, your master circadian clock, which sets the cortisol rhythm for the entire day. 30 minutes, 3 steps. You've already changed the neurological starting point of your day before opening a single email. That's what most people never have. A day that starts from a lower baseline. A nervous system that begins settled instead of already scanning. Midday, the reset. 20 minutes of moderate aerobic exercise. Lunch hour, early afternoon, whenever it fits. Not for fitness, as medicine. A specific neurochemical intervention timed to the point in the day where the nervous system most benefits from a reset. A 20-minute walk at lunch changes the neurological quality of your afternoon. That is documented biology. Evening, the shutdown signal. This is the one most high-functioning people have never had. A clear, deliberate signal that the day has ended and the threats have been processed. 30 minutes before bed, no screens, no problem solving, no planning. Your nervous system needs a clear stand-down signal it hasn't been getting. Without it, you go to sleep with the alarm still running. Slow-wave sleep is compromised. Recovery is incomplete. You wake up already elevated. 5 minutes of interoceptive exposure. Sit, observe, don't fix. Let the amygdala learn one more time. The sensations of the day do not require emergency response. Bedroom between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Core body temperature must drop during slow-wave sleep. Cool room protects that drop. Then sleep. Morning, midday, evening. 3 signals, 3 windows, each one telling your nervous system something it has probably been waiting to hear for years. Days 1 to 3. Most people notice the morning shift first. Not dramatic, real. The cortisol starting point is lower. The alarm begins the day quieter. Your nervous system notices even when you're not sure you do yet. Weeks 1 to 2. With consistent exercise and morning protocol, measurable reductions in cortisol markers. Sleep architecture begins improving. The middle of the night wake-ups start to reduce. The baseline shoulder tension is slightly less present. Small, real. Weeks 3 to 4. The evening protocol compounds with the other 2. The amygdala's baseline reactivity begins to shift. The alarm that ran at 80% starts running lower. You don't feel less capable. You feel less like you're constantly compensating for something invisible. That distinction matters more than I can put into words. Months 2 to 3. Studies of consistent autonomic regulation interventions document partial normalization of amygdala reactivity on functional neuroimaging. Partial, not complete. Honest expectations matter more than impressive promises. But partial recalibration of a system running at 80% for years is a completely different quality of daily life. Start tonight. No phone for the last 30 minutes before bed. One change. One signal to your nervous system that the day is allowed to end. Consistency at 80% beats 2 perfect weeks followed by abandonment. Start imperfect. Start tonight. The nervous system responds to repetition, not perfection. One thing directly before we finish. If you've spent years being the person who handles everything, who shows up, who delivers, who never lets it show, and you've never once had someone acknowledge the weight of that with actual science behind it, I see it. What you're carrying is real. The fact that you're functional doesn't mean it's light. The fact that nobody around you can see the alarm doesn't mean it isn't running. And the fact that you've been managing it this well for this long without understanding the mechanism, that says something real about what you're capable of. Now imagine what becomes possible when the alarm is quieter, not silent, not gone. Quieter. That's what the protocol does. Tonight, no phone for the last 30 minutes before bed. Tomorrow morning, 5 cycles of cyclic sighing before you open anything. 2 things. Start there. Come back and tell me what shifts first. 1 word. How does your brain feel at the end of a completely normal day? Drop it in the comments. And next episode, we're going into overthinking, what it's actually doing to your brain every single time it happens, the specific neural circuitry, and why every piece of advice you've ever received to just stop thinking about it is not only useless, it's neurologically backwards. That one lands differently. Don't miss it. Your nervous system ran a marathon today. It doesn't have to run one tomorrow.